Hey everyone, it's Kelly. I am back on YouTube. I took a very long break. It was not something that I really intended on doing, but it was something that just kind of happened. Something had to go on the back burner, and sharing content was what happened. So I want to jump on here and kind of give a reintroduction to my channel. I did record a process video yesterday. It's currently saving now as I am recording this and will be on YouTube very soon. But because it's been so long, it's been almost 3 years, I felt like I needed to pop back on here and just talk a little bit about where I've been, what's been going on, what my plans are for my channel, and just kind of an all-around chit chat. So grab a cup of coffee, grab some tea, or whatever your preference is, and let's go ahead and have a chat. I don't know how long this will get. I tend to be a little bit rambly when I don't really have a script or anything to go off of. So let's just jump right into it. I am planning on coming back consistently to YouTube. Consistently, I'm not sure exactly what that means for me at the moment. I think for right now, what my plan is to do 2 videos a month. I would love to do 1 video a week, but I'm just not sure if that is something that I have the bandwidth for at this moment. Fall is a very busy time for my family. Both my son and my niece are active in high school activities, so I am gone from home a lot more in the fall than I am during the winter and spring. So I'm gonna kind of play it by ear and just see what happens. As far as where I've been, I have still been creating, but things just got busy. Life got busy. So what happened is in 2021, that's kind of when I started to fall off the wagon on sharing regularly. We had decided that we were going to sell our house. We had lived in our home for 15 years, or it might have been 16 years, but 15, 16 years. And it was a large house. We were downsizing from a 6-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. So there were a lot of rooms to go through, a lot of things to do, and it was very time consuming. Major kudos to those of you who move a lot. I don't know how you do it, but it was a lot, and I was spending a lot of my time focusing on getting our house ready to list. And then we bought a house in December of 2021. So we moved, I think, a week or 2 before Christmas. And then we sold our house in January of 2022. And that closing process was something. So it was not an easy process for us, and not something I really ever want to do again, if I'm being honest. But we got it done. It was finished. Our closing date just kept getting moved, and it was one of those things that was completely out of our control. It was all on, the other side, and it just took a lot longer than I expected. And for our buyer as well, they were not anticipating it taking quite that long. So we got it done January of 2022. And then that late spring, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And as many of you who have had family or someone that you're close to diagnosed with cancer, it's a heavy thing. He's doing great, very good outcome. And it was just, a lot to process as we were going through it. And then in June of 2022, I quit my job of 18 years. So for those of you who have been hanging around for a while, you know that I worked in dental, and I got hired at the office that I worked at, the practice that I worked at, the day that I graduated college. And depending on what state you live in, depends on what a dental assistant can do. I worked at an orthodontist office, and in Indiana, we can do a lot. So I put braces on, I changed wires, I bent wires, I fit for appliances, I cemented appliances, took x-rays, took impressions, took photos. It was a very hands-on job. And I had an opportunity come up and it kind of fell into my lap, and it was something I just could not turn down. So I went from working in dental to working at a police department, and it was quite the career change. So it was stressful, even though it was such a good change, and it was something that really, was so good for me and my family. Change is hard. Change is hard, whether or not it is something that is positive or negative. It took all of my mental capacity to just process what I was doing at work, for the 7 hours that I'm there. So it's been great. I've settled in. It's been 3 years now. I love the people I work with. Everything is just, it's just great. I really, really, really love my job. But again, it was mentally exhausting. And when you're mentally exhausted, you don't really feel like creating. So I really took a break from creating. I did force myself to come into my craft room every week or two to work on my, I don't know what I should call it. I call it my Project Life journal, but it's really a creative journal. It's something that I use for Project Life. It's stickers, stamps, die cuts, and handwriting. There's no photos. It's just something that I work on every week, and I jot down something from every day during the week, whether it's, facts, who, what, where, when, why, or if it's feelings based. So that way, when I get to that week in Project Life, I can have some real and authentic journaling for that week. I am very, very journal heavy in my Project Life spread. So that's something that's very important to me. So I did make sure that I came in every week or two to jot some things down, because I knew at some point all of that was going to pass and I was going to be in the mood to create again. And I wanted to be able to do it in a very real way. So I'm glad I did, because I did start working on Project Life again. And I am up to 2025, which I'm really proud of, because I was really far behind. I think that I was about 2.5 years behind. And when I say behind, I'm using air quotes. But I think the longest, it was about 2.5 years. And I started 2024 around Easter this year, and I finished it about a week ago. So I got a lot done in 2024 alone, but I had all of 2023 that I had to do, which I got it done, moved on to 2024, got it done, and now I'm into 2025. And that just seemed like a really great place to start my YouTube back up again. So I plan on sharing that type of content again. I plan on sharing process videos. That is my plan moving forward. I need to figure out a way to do this on YouTube without it becoming overwhelming, or without it becoming, what's the word that I want to use? Just, I can't get burnout. I don't want to get burnout doing it. So that's why I'm kind of giving myself some grace on whether or not it's a video a week or just a couple of months, and some, I may have some more months than others. The type of content that I post may kind of vary depending on the amount of time that I have. I do want to share some flip throughs. I have a lot of Project Life albums. I think I've only shared 2020 on my channel. I'll have to go back and look. So I have 2021, 2022, 23, and 24, and they are each two albums per year. So there's a lot of content there. I did do an October daily that I want to share, some traveler's notebooks that I haven't shared, and I think I have one travel album, maybe two, that I haven't shared either. So I have a lot of content that I can share. I would love to do a craft room tour. My craft room is very much just a average craft room. A lot of my furniture, I'm just looking around now, is repurposed from other areas of my house, and I think that's true for most of us. I just saw my son pull into the driveway. So my dogs may start barking in just a minute, so I may have to pause the video for a moment here. But that's the content that I plan on sharing. I would also love to do a Project Life how-to, kind of share what works for me on sharing my Project Life, or not even sharing it, what works for me on creating Project Life and getting caught up. Again, caught up in air quotes, but I think Project Life can be a project that feels really overwhelming, because it is, there we go, barking, just a second. So Project Life can feel really overwhelming because it can be so detailed, but it is something that you can kind of decide on how detailed you want to make it. But I want to share my process on kind of the whole thing, is what works well for me, how I pull my photos, how I edit my photos, collage my photos, I add journaling to my photos. It's just an idea. I'm so passionate about this project. It is something that I wish I would have done from the moment I got married. Things are a lot easier now, technology-wise, with the iPhones being so great with taking photos, and then the ability to print at home. When I first started scrapbooking, I didn't have that ability, and it would have been much harder doing Project Life, not being able to print your photos from home. But I would really like to share just kind of what works for me if you're interested in doing Project Life. If that is something that you're interested in, let me know. Another video that I thought might be kind of fun is, and I'm sure I'm not the first one to ever do this, is to pick out items in my craft room that I would either purchase again in a heartbeat or that I wish I never would have spent my money on. And it could be product, it could be tools. So that's kind of an idea I'm tossing around in my head. I definitely have more pros than cons. There are a few things that I would not purchase again if I went back to do it again. But most of my products that I use, I love. So that's an idea. Again, if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. But I guess I should introduce myself too, for those of you that are just coming across this video for the very first time, if YouTube happened to recommend my video to you. My name is Kelly. I am a scrapbooker. I have been scrapbooking on YouTube for a number of years. I've been on design teams, and that was kind of what spurred me starting my YouTube channel, was to be able to post for design teams, and then also just to connect with this community. The paper crafting community is one of the most supportive communities, and I am so happy to be a part of it. That's kind of part of the reason that I wanted to get back into YouTube. I love watching videos. It's one of my absolute favorite things, and I can contribute to that because I have I have the ability, I have the software, I've done it. I just kind of took a long break, but it is something that I really, really appreciate from those who put videos out so often, and it's something that I can contribute to. So that's why I'm jumping back on here. Again, not sure how frequently it will be, but I really do want to get back to it consistently. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. As far as products that you'll see me using, I am still subscribing to Ali Edwards. I think I get basically all of her kits. So the quarterly kit that she just started releasing, the stories by the month, I am purchasing the digital stories by the month because Studio Calico is no longer making their kits, and I am still just gutted over that. I loved Studio Calico's Documenter kits. So I have a ton of stash. I definitely will be pulling from my stash. But again, I'm looking at all my journal cards over there, but I love working with a kit. I love grabbing a new kit every month. Everything matches. And so I do plan on going into my stash, pulling cards. But I have started purchasing the digital kits from Ali Edwards too. So that way I can make the product stretch a little bit more throughout the month. So you'll see more of that as I'm going into my videos. I'll explain that a little bit more in detail. I did just record my first voiceover, and man, it was rusty. I felt really out of practice. So I apologize for my first voiceover, but I'm a firm believer if something is better than nothing. So it will get better as I continue on. So I'm happy to be back. I hope you're happy to see me back. I hope that you'll give this video a like and that you'll subscribe if scrapbooking content is up your alley. I would also like to, maybe if I'm not posting, every week, I may start doing like a monthly recap on what I've created in a month, and I'll dive a little bit more into my project life, memory planner, whatever you want to call it. If you're interested in more detail on how I use that, or if you'd like me to do a flip through of maybe last year's or go into a little bit more detail on that, I would be more than happy to. That is something that I could consider, or that I could put into that series with the Project Life how-to. But if that's something you're interested in, let me know. But I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you have any questions or any suggestions on videos that you'd like to see, I would love to hear them. I am always open to new ideas. And I'm happy to be back. My first process video should be up next week. I'm going to post this one in the next day or so. And then, like I said, probably about once a week, maybe twice a month. We'll see. But it was great to chat with you all. Please leave a comment. I would love to hear from any of you and all of you. Really connecting with other people who enjoy this hobby as much as I do is something that I find immense joy in. So I am happy to be back, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.